Hey howdy friends, it's Connie here. Today I'm here and going to share with you a 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout. It is for the KaiserCraft October challenge, which you can find over on their blog. So for the challenge, it's a bingo style challenge, which I thought was really fun and interesting. And so I chose for my challenge to use the white cardstock, mists, three different pattern papers, and a clear stamp. So just before you saw that, well, first off I'll say that part of the rules is you have to use at least 80% KaiserCraft products. So I had pulled out the boho range, KaiserCraft, that was what was showed earlier, and I'm going to use that, and I've just cut off the zip strip off that white cardstock. It's a KaiserCraft smooth cardstock, and just applied a little bit of gesso down in the bottom right hand corner because I want to add a little bit of paint. So this is a photo of my daughter Georgia. This was taken September this year at her school concert, and this year she actually got a part in her school concert. She had a speaking role, so it was a big year for her, and she played a character called Gabriella. So this is the photo I took of her before she went on stage, so it was a little bit exciting. And in this photo she kind of looks a little bit hippie-ish, and so that's why I chose the boho range, because I thought it really suited. So what I've done is I've backed the photo on a piece of vellum, and I've just cut up some of that note paper and some computer paper into some squares for my layering. And those papers there are two pieces of papers out of the boho collection from KaiserCraft. It's a really, really lovely collection. I brought the stamp set, the paper pack, and the embellishments pack for that that paper line, and it's a really, really nice paper line. I really do like it. So this time with my layering, I decided normally I sort of keep my layering really small, and it's sort of really just clustered right underneath my photo, not much bigger than my photo. So this time I tried to go bigger, if that makes any sense. I tried to cut my pieces a bit bigger than I normally would to try and get a different type of a look. So then, like, my layering background of my image was a little bit bigger than I normally do in my previous process videos. So hopefully, I think I achieved it. So hopefully you agree that I achieved it, that it does look a bit different to what I normally do. So so here I'm just fiddling around, trying to work out where I want my papers to go, and then I'm just going to staple them together with my mini stapler like I normally do. So with the three different pattern papers, I'm really, really hoping that this you know, qualifies, because I've used that sort of minty one and that pinky one, and on the back of the pink one I think is that feather black and white. So it's because they're double-sided papers, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know. So I don't even know if it's going to qualify, but technically I've used three different pattern papers. So I've come back after I played around with the embellishments. You know, I don't really like fussing around with them on the process, because the video is then heaps longer than it should be. This one's already going to be too long, and you don't really want to sit there and watch me do it. If you do want to watch me do it, let me know, and I will record it, but just, you know, a heads up that the videos will be a lot longer. So I mean, I do try and keep my videos under the 15 minutes. This one's like about 17 minutes, so I'm a bit longer than usual. I do like them around the 10. So yeah, so this one's a bit longer, and I did cut a lot of this one out. So I took a quick picture of my cluster so I could remember what it looked like, because I knew that I was going to get interrupted with this layout and I knew I'd forget if I just pushed it aside. So now I've just pulled out some KaiserCraft paints, and I think I've got, if I can see, white, I've got the Pretty in Pink and the Spearmint, and these are the colours that are in the kit. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of trying to like do a painterly background around my paper cluster and image. So I'm just using a dry brush, and that's a Dina Wakley brush. It's one of my favourite brushes. I love it. And I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just splotching it on, and really lightly. It's not very heavy at all. And then I'm adding a little bit of that fine glitter into the paint so it dries into the paint, if you get what I mean, and just to give it that little bit of a shimmery look. And then I'm going to just go back over with a little bit of white just to dull it back a little bit, because I didn't want it to really stand out too much, but I still wanted to be able to see it. And also because if I added that little bit of extra white on it, it sort of gave me a little bit more texture, as you can see with the paintbrush down the bottom there. And I just sprinkled on some more of that fine glitter there. You probably just saw my daughter's hand pop in there because she's actually was cooking a cake and she was checking the time on my phone. So this is my stamp part of the challenge, and this is a I think it was a little checkered, no, it was a dot, a little mini dot stamp that is a KaiserCraft stamp, and I love it, and I use it a lot in my mixed media. And I just used some of that pink ink and just stamped it randomly around the background. So now I'm going to adhere my cluster, my I don't even know what you're going to call it, my paper cluster. And as you can see, it's heaps bigger than I normally do it, isn't it? I think it is. So I hope you agree. And I'm just going to be ruffling up the edges just to create even more texture, because we all know that I love adding texture. The more the merrier, I say. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm going to start sticking down my elements. This is me just trying to find that photo so I can remember exactly where I had everything and where it all went, because I really don't have a good memory. And like I said, I've gone and come back and started again, and eventually I'm going to go again to cook dinner, and then I come back when it's night time and I finish off the layout. So the lighting will change, so I do apologize for that. So I'm really loving that fine line applicator bottle there. I'm loving having the glue in that. It is so much easier, and I just love it. I just need to find a gun. I want a double-sided tape adhesive gun, but I don't want to buy an ATC gun. I just want to know if there's any other companies out there. Does anyone know of one? Please leave it in the comments below, because I'd love to check it out. So as you can see, lighting's changed because I've come back and it's probably about 9:30 at night now. So it's a few hours later, so after I've done dinner, cleaned up, and done all the mum stuff that we have to do. And yeah, so I've come back, and I'm gonna just use those stickers, and I'm just gonna use them for my title. And I've picked up this little trick off another YouTuber, where she's sticking them onto a piece of wax paper and she can move them around, and I really liked that idea, so I copied that idea. I thought it was really clever. So I did try a couple of different places. My theory was my title was going to run up the right hand side of the layout where the feather is, but it just didn't look right. So in the end, I really like it over on this left hand side. And yeah, so I just needed to add a couple more elements because it was sort of just there, hippie. It was just there. So I pulled out another one of those butterflies that I die cut. I cut from my silhouette machine, and I found that little sweet circle in the boho embellishment kit, which was just perfect. I just pulled it out and it was there and it was perfect. So it just suited everything. It was like it was meant to be. So my title is Sweet Hippie Girl, because she kind of, to me, she looks like a bit of a hippie. So, and she actually is wearing a long sort of hippie-ish skirt as well in the photo, but you can't see it. But it's more like her hair just hanging down the front like that. And those little stickers are from Studio Calico, and again, that colour just matched this kit so perfectly. So I'm hoping that I've used enough, 80% of KaiserCraft stock, and I am hoping that they will accept that as my 3 pattern paper. So I've used my white cardstock, I've used the pattern paper, I've used the clear stamp, so I just need to use a mist. So that will be coming up soon. So now I'm just, because the layers were so clean and neat against that painterly background, I got out some more of that KaiserCraft paint, and I'm just sort of going around the edges under the layers and just sort of putting paint everywhere just to sort of rough things up a little bit and sort of spread it around. And I'm not really worried about being neat and perfect, and I like the really messy look because it sort of, you know, draws your eye around and it makes you want to look at it, to look at all the different elements in there. And as you'll see on the top of the photo, I actually put a swipe of paint there accidentally, so I do come back and fix that because I couldn't get it off because it was such a thin layer of paper. It dried so quickly, so I yeah, couldn't get it off, but I do come back and fix that up in a second. So yeah, I'm just using my finger and that paintbrush, and I'm just sort of rubbing it in, blending it out, tapping it with my paintbrush, trying to build up a little bit of texture with the paintbrush, and yeah, just to give it, yeah, that look. I'm going to repeat myself again. So yeah, here's where I fixed the problem with that little bit on the photo. All I did was dry brushed a bit of paint around the edge. So now my photo has a little painterly border around it. So you wouldn't even know I made that mistake. So that's pretty cool. So I decided I wanted to add some sequins because I have so many sequins in my stash, and I really need to start using some of this stuff that I've got lying around that doesn't seem to get used. So I decided I was just going to add a whole heap of sequins. So here I am just sort of placing them roughly out where I kind of visioned them to be. I'm not being too picky, but I am being a little bit picky, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure if it does to you, but yeah, you know, sometimes I need to have it in the right spot because it doesn't look right, and other times it doesn't really bother me. And that fine liner glue bottle that I have now is so perfect. Look how quickly I can get down the sequins. It's so much better. And so now I've done that, I know I'll probably use like sequins and buttons and things like that a little bit more, because it's going to be so much easier to glue down, because I get frustrated with little bits and things, and because I just don't have pick them up and fiddling around with them, and yeah, and I get frustrated very quickly. So that big sticker sheet came in the paper pack for the boho range, and it's awesome. It's got so many stickers on it and tiny word stickers and everything on it. It's a really, really good little kit when you buy it. I think it's about $15 when you buy the kit, and you get 2 of each pattern paper and that sticker sheet. So it's a pretty good price, I think. It's pretty cheap. So I just added that little beautiful mini word sticker and a little flower underneath, and I'm trying to use that little mint feather, and I don't end up using it, but you do see in the final images that I did add it next to the butterfly. I did add it in my final images because it just looked a little bare under there, and it ended up being perfect going in there. So now this is the KaiserCraft mist, and I've only got 2 colors. I've got that pink color and I've got a blue color, and I've never actually used them yet. So this is my first time using it, and they have a really nice little shimmer to them. They're so nice. I think I'll be using a lot, and I'll probably end up buying some more colours. So I've just spritzed some on my desk and added some water just to sort of make it a little bit more runnier, and then just used my fan brush and just added some splatters. So there's my fourth element, the mist. So I've used everything in the challenge that I chose, so I'm pretty happy at this point. So I'll just dry that off, and then I come back and I made a huge mistake here. Like, not on my layout. As you can see on the left hand side, that is where the program is for my daughter's school concert, and I pulled it out so I could just add some details when I was doing my journaling, and didn't even think that the name of her school was on the front cover until I got to doing the voiceover last night. And this is why I'm doing the voiceover the next night, because it took me all day. As you can see, that little piece of white, it's just moving around because I'm trying to cover up her school. And it took me forever to work out, watching YouTube videos, to work out how you could actually do that. So I've worked it out, but I had to go through frame by frame in this section to cover that up, and it just took forever. I was up until midnight last night, and then I had to go to work today, and when I got home from work, it took me at least another hour to get it going, working and sorted and covered, and then I had to go get my daughter from school. So that's what happened there. So I've just used my grey lead as I'm doing all my squiggly lines, and with this one I decided to do really big, large, circly, squiggly lines because it was like a really hippery sort of a layout. And I also done some little swirlies around some of those splatters that are around the page as well. So now I'm just adding my journaling, and that is pretty much it from me today, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, just give me a thumbs down. And I will see you next time. Magical fingers. Bye.